So I've seen some really interesting videos recently, and I kind of wanted to do like my thoughts on it. I'm sorry if my voice sounds horrendous, because I can hear that it does. But I've just kind of had this sore throat, weird voice thing happen in the last less than 24 hours, so we're just going with it. But I've seen some amazing videos that men have produced on social media recently, and I kind of wanted to talk about them because one was really interesting. It was kind of talking about the ways in which men and women have evolved, particularly in London was the example with these videos, which is really interesting because geographically and financially the situation is a little bit different regionally in the UK. But it was talking about the political divide through men and women, which is really interesting, one of these videos. And the other one, if I can find them, I'll link them down below. But the other one was talking about, he was the singer from Rizzle Kicks, Jordan. And he's going out with Jade from Little Mix, I think. But he was talking about how now what's happening in London is women are in a position where they can financially take responsibility for themselves. And so it's leaving men really confused, because he basically said the bar has been so low in dating now. It's the lowest it's ever been, and men still can't seem to pass it. And what is really interesting is it talks a little bit to this concept of internalized misogyny and internalized patriarchy that both genders live through. So there seems to have been some assumption at some point or other between the genders that has actually been reinforced quite interestingly with this dating gender that I would say maybe, I can't really speak for people younger than me. I don't really know what their ethics and their gender dynamics are, but I know from my age group in the 30s, they seem to have doubled down on this provider thing. So I see a lot on dating social media and also on like TV and reality dating programs. Men need to be the provider, and it's kind of led to this manosphere type of understanding of masculinity. And what Jordan was talking about in his video is kind of like, well, now women can provide that provider element, the practicalities of providership for themselves. What are they seeking? And what are men delivering, basically? Because he was saying that, you know, for these women who are high achievers and financially well off, they can go on holiday with their girlfriends and have a great time and have that companionship. So what are men bringing? And it's really interesting because I think it was really cool to be directed, a man speaking to men. But I think it also does open up the field a little bit, because I think some women will double down on this provider thing, and they will use dating as a way to assert that men should buy things for them, men should buy things on the first date. There's a lot of discussion around that. But it's interesting because we've stopped getting curious about people. Now, I think with relationships, we've treated it a bit like the boardroom. How do we get the success out of it? How does it become long term? How do we search for the right person? And we're popping up red flags all over the place, which quickly becomes this threshold of, they didn't meet this was a red flag, bin. So what we've stopped doing is addressing dating in a curious mindset, which means without the intention of this always having to be your person. When you go on a date, when you go on a few dates, you need to understand the person. And sometimes it gets quite confusing because sexual chemistry will pop up here and there, and you know, there'll be a flirty dynamic, but it's you understanding that person and understanding how you feel in your body around that person, how they make you feel, whether you feel attracted, whether you have hobbies in common. Like, how does spending quality time feel? And not going around to the house and watching Netflix, but how does it feel if you go for a walk, or if they tell you about their family dynamics or their belief system? How does that feel for you? And the thing with dating is we have this push, like, you know, to make it physical, to put a label on it. And I get that from women, because a lot of men use that to their detriment to kind of keep things a little bit wishy-washy. But there isn't a rush in dating, and we shouldn't see it as a rush to the finish line. Like, take as long as you need to get to know a person. When you think about your core friendships, your family members, you've had years to get to know their tics, to get to know the things that they like. And then even occasionally now, they'll say something, you'll be like, I've known you 15 years. You've never said that to me before. So I think we should stop looking at relationships as what can you bring and what can I bring, but how do we actually get to know each other? And then by definition, these things start coming out, and you can paint a picture. You might be able to say to yourself after a few months, okay, our our belief systems are really, really different. And I'm not sure that I want to put the work in to try and work through that with us, or I just don't see a natural kinship forming here. I feel like we have fun when we're together, but I don't see this kind of blending into a union. That's absolutely fine. That's the whole point of dating. You've got to like try it before you buy it, find out what you like. But we see it as a test. And because romantic relationships have been seen as the epitome of your human experience, we have to do it. But we rush, and a lot of people have been in relationships where they haven't took the time to get to know each other. And dating, I think, becomes a lot of like, oh, this is a red flag, so that's done. Oh, they only wanted this. Oh, I'm not, there's too much like noise around it, instead of being like, okay, this person, I felt really relaxed, I felt really happy, it was a first date. I'd love to get to know them more as a person. I'm not putting a label on how I feel about them yet, or whether this could go somewhere. I just really want to enjoy their company. And if both genders did that a little bit more, then maybe the dating would progress in a natural way. But also, if you're coming to dating, whatever gender you are, please come to dating when you're ready. Because the problem is, a lot of these people aren't ready, they've got baggage, they haven't done the growth, and they come in and they just throw bombs into situations where the other person genuinely was looking to date. And I think that's the biggest tragedy, that you just didn't have the maturity to admit that this isn't your field at the moment, this isn't what you're interested in. So we have these threads of people who just want casual situationships, someone to sleep with, ego boost, all gelled in with people who actually want to date. That's the biggest tragedy, the time wasters. But for those of you who genuinely want to date, don't feel pressured and rushed about getting to know somebody. Don't think about, am I going to be a provider? Do they want a provider? Don't have a list of what somebody should do for you, because at the end of the day, both genders are very capable of giving themselves the job that they want, the house that they want, the life that they want. When you are choosing a partner, it's someone that you choose to do life with over and over and over again. So that choice does not need to be rushed. It does not need to be a tick box exercise. You are finding your like golden ticket. So there'll be a lot of dates where you won't quite find that feeling. That's okay, because that feeling will be rare. There won't be that many people that will make you feel that way. So you're looking for that exciting golden ticket, but just enjoy the ride along the way without too many prescriptions on how the dating situation should go.